Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening to the Quality Hub, Chatting with ISO Experts. I'm your host, Xavier Francis, and happy Thanksgiving week to all those who are tuned in this week. First, I would like to share we're thankful for all of you out there who listen to the Quality Hub. We greatly appreciate you turning into all that we share in these podcasts. We hope that you found this podcast useful and educational. This week's podcast will be a best of podcast, and we will review some wonderful information from a variety of guests on continual improvement within an ISO standard. We begin with insights from Suzanne Weber-Smotko, offering practical steps and valuable insights on how to maintain momentum in continual improvement and advancing your quality management system.
Once you're certified, it's time to mature your quality management system. You need to sustain your quality management system or else you lose your certification. It's as simple as that. This means holding your management reviews at the frequency that you defined. It means get your internal audits done every single year. Report out on your quality objectives. Identify improvements on your quality objectives or any other things that you can identify to measure to make improvements. One of the things that I experience a lot with my clients is that they don't document all the great initiatives and things they do to improve their business every year.
Yeah.
And when you're certified, you have to show evidence that you're committed to continuous improvement. And if you don't write it down, you can't show evidence. And you would be so surprised. I used this in my past life as well. You would be so surprised that when you write things down on everything that you've done, at the end of the year, you look at the list and you go, wow, we did a lot. Yeah. Because when it lives in everybody's head, people don't know that.
Well, like you said, if you're not measuring it, you can't really look at it.
So continual improvement, documenting continual improvement, making sure that you're consistently identifying risks and actions to mitigate any risks. You want to make sure that you're documenting your non-conformances and corrective actions and documenting your customer feedback. All of this is the root of a good improvement plan. Everything that we tell you that is a requirement that you have to document in the standard is not because people just want to see you document it.
Right.
It's there because we want to see you do trends and analysis on that and just improve the company based on what that data is telling you.
Well, quality is not one and done. I mean, Absolutely. It just isn't. And most businesses, either you're moving forward or you're falling back.
Yeah.
There's not a stagnant place to live.
That's correct.
I mean, there's always outside influences that are affecting you and internal influences that are affecting you. So if you're not measuring, if you're not paying attention to that quality improvement consistently, you might be the only one that manufactures something or provides a service. And now you have somebody, hey, we're doing the same thing now. Oh my goodness. That's something you've got to figure out how you're going to continually prove to your current customers and potential future customers, hey, we still have the best out there.
Yeah, because it's evident if you don't.
Right.
It's evident if you don't. It's evident if you let things go and just try to catch up right before an audit. And I'm passionate about quality. I'm passionate about making people, again, see the value in the quality management system. Your leadership will thank you for it. If you engage yourself, your leadership will thank you for it because it certainly will improve your bottom line.
So many people get into being certified to a quality management system because they have to. And they lose sight of the value of this really can make a huge difference to our customers and to the bottom line of our business.
I've seen it over and over again, and it's a great thing.
Next, we turn to Brian Smith, who delves into strategies for leveraging the standard, emphasizing how your organizational culture and effective communication can drive sustained progress in continual improvement efforts. What steps can we take to help keep your quality management system continually improving?
Well, it is a lot of what we talked about earlier in getting for real. I've asked that when I start a project with a customer, a lot of times I'll ask them, what do you want to improve? And I've literally heard some clients say nothing. I've been doing this for 30 years. I just need the certificate. And that happens. Right. We're good, and that goes back to our first point. No one's doing everything wrong.
Right.
There's these little trips that can hold you up. But it is about, utilize the standard. Take it for what it's worth. It's not a pain to do calibration. It's not, it's work to keep a document control system functional, but the benefits are going to be improvement.
Right.
Once you knock something down, once you eliminate root cause, and we don't have to deal with that anymore, you're going to see your numbers and your profitability, your margins creeping up. But I really think the biggest key is what we just talked about is a culture, organization wide. We always talk about being top driven.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be top driven quietly. And then you flip it and let it be bottom driven.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we need. Here at Core, Scott defines our risks
Mm-hmm.
with input and defines them. We decided to talk about that this morning.
Yeah.
About sustainability. That has to be communicated to people on the floor. They may have chosen to work on a machine for 30 years, but everybody inherently wants to do the best job that they can.
It's their time, so hey, let me be productive with my time. I want to do a good job.
Yeah, you know how many times I've heard, well, no one asked.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets frustrating, but what we can do is ask.
Yeah. So basically, it's getting top management leadership, communicate it to the general workers, and let them run with it.
Yeah, it's a leadership management paradigm, I guess. Leadership is high up on the scaffolding, pointing.
Mm-hmm.
Middle management is down in the jungle, pointing. But it's the people with the machetes
mm-hmm.
that are going to get us to our goal.
Right.
They have a lot of insight that we don't tap.
Yeah. And that communicating and engaging them will help you tap that. Norm Verbeck emphasizes the importance of cultivating a pervasive culture of quality within your business. He advocates for actively engaging frontline workers, seeking their input, and facilitating robust channels for communication and feedback to unearth opportunities for improvement. So this is sort of a change in culture,
yes.
Especially if you're new to a quality management system. How do you continually foster that culture of continual improvement?
So this is an area where you don't really necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, obviously there's some things that you're already doing as a company with, business operations, but ensure engagement of employees throughout various levels. So you want to make sure that, the engagement and reviews are not just mostly from management.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure you're reviewing that throughout all levels of the organization and trying to drive those improvement ideas, because the folks, if you're in a manufacturing environment, for example, the employees that are actually out on the floor performing the work, that's where a lot of your better ideas are going to come from as far as ways to be more efficient, remove waste from your process, but
potential problems that they're saying, whether it's equipment-based or something, anything that helps you with that productivity.
But, there's often a lot of preconceived notions on how a job is supposed to be performed. But when you actually go out to the production floor, for example, or business operations in the service industry, when you actually go to the people that are doing the work, the expectation that what you have that as far as preconceived with how something should be done might not be the reality of what's actually being performed today.
Right.
So it's good to keep up to date and to keep up with the pulse of the actual employees doing the work.
I almost use the example of like an engineer. They design this, and then once it's built and put into production and people start using it, then you see some of the faults you don't think about. Why did they put the oil pan bolt there? Or I have a special tool that I have to get to just to drain the oil from this thing. The engineer wasn't thinking about that. Almost the same kind of thing. Management might not be thinking the same way the common worker that uses this device to make something every day thinks about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, sometimes it's not necessarily thought through all the way to the end user, for example, as far as, what's going to be accessible in that case. The other area, as far as like whenever you do identify action items, you want to make sure you're driving accountability for those action items that are open and that you have them assigned to the appropriate personnel. I've seen many examples where an action item is listed with a department or maybe multiple people. And when you're stopping at that either department level or multiple people, nobody necessarily owns it. So it's really good to kind of be concise with, who has responsibility.
I thought Jim had it. Well, I thought Joe had it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if it's not specifically assigned one person for reporting out and updating management on progress, many action items don't gain traction towards completion. And then another piece of that is, implementing a method to collect and evaluate feedback from employees. That's another way to foster continuous improvement. Not all employee suggestions may be realistic or actionable, but it's beneficial to at least provide a forum for employees to provide feedback or offer recommendations for improvement. Some of the options that you can typically implement might be survey, maybe a suggestion box, or I've often seen it even reviewed during an annual performance reviews with employees. So the important piece is that it's often overlooked is to follow up and provide feedback to employees. So even if you have those opportunities for improvement identified, you can't necessarily, again, companies have resources or budget constraints, so you might not be able to take action all the time, but it's important to have that follow up and at least provide the feedback for why or why not, why you did not.
Hey, this is a great idea. We acknowledge that you said something that might be helpful. It's just not what we can do right now.
That's exactly right.
Exactly makes sense. Concluding our discussions today, we engage with AJ Polera from NQA, shedding light on what auditors scrutinize in terms of continuous improvement during external audits. He also imparts valuable insights on enhancing customer satisfaction and navigating other facets of the ISO standards for continual improvement. The difference when you get into the subsequent audits, you're looking for more than just adherence. You're looking that's actually getting better.
Yep. And
you had mentioned continuous improvement before, and that is a fundamental principle of ISO. How do you assess that in an organization's commitment to continuously improve?
Following what I said earlier, the approach to the effectiveness of the QMS will ultimately lead to continuous improvement because of the discipline behind it. Following the standard and the expectations of improving the QMS will lead to continuous improvement. Like I said, one of the key focuses of ISO 9001 is customer satisfaction. So using knowledge, evidence gathered through effective monitoring, measuring of processes, the next step is to make improvements to enhance customer satisfaction. That could be to specific products or services, relating to the customer experience, to the methods and resources used, whether there's a more efficient supplier to provide resources to manufacture a specific product. Maybe the quality in a supplier's resources has declined, and then you source another, et cetera.
Right. So all that's going to show that they've been effective, and we see continuous improvement.
And continuous improvement, plain and simply, could be just to the quality management system itself. And then, review of internal audits, and during your management reviews, it's key that companies are looking and monitoring the correct things.
Okay.
This is an opportunity to adjust the system as they see fit. It's not a prescription. It's more of a blueprint. Let's help you run your business to the best of its ability without changing the essence of how you run your business. So if current customer requirements are being met, are there amendments or things that need to be addressed for future requirements? Are there any areas where the company can be more efficient? Perhaps, these have been brought up during the internal audits.
So you're really continually refining the system. And I know that you just touched on this now. It's great how ISO standards, they don't tell you how to do it. They let you determine how you're going to do some of these things, what's important to you. And it keeps that essence of your company still there, even though you're able to get better and continually improve.
Absolutely. If there are any issues, companies can see if any corrective action taken was effective at preventing the problem from reoccurring. So that's one question that needs to be asked. If a company went for a short-term fix, this is now the time to work on the long-term improvements to solve the issues. You have the Band-Aid fix, and then you have the long-term solution. And when non-conformances occur, including complaints, companies need to keep a full record, including what happened, what actions were taken at the time, and the results of any further corrective actions implemented.
And an auditor is going to want to see that.
Yep. Everything needs to be documented. So, and that's key in respect of a non-conformity as objective evidence for your external auditor. So tying back into objective evidence being your friend. If there's already a system in place for recording these things, there's no need to create a new one, providing that all the necessary information is being captured as determined by ISO 9001. The existing records should be sufficient.
So basically, documentation seems paramount in proving you've made the appropriate responses needed for corrections and improvement. Now, many companies are multifaceted and they can have improvement needs in multiple areas. How can they handle all that continual improvement?
Continual improvement, obviously, we know it is a requirement of ISO 9001. However, it doesn't mean that companies are just to make improvements just for the sake of doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where, management review is important, as well as the information from the internal audits. Having quality objectives aligned with strategic direction provides unity of purpose, and it ensures that actions throughout the organization are working together towards the same goal.
So you don't have to necessarily work on everything at once. That's why you're not just certified once. You can continually grow.
Yep.
And once you've gotten something wrangled in, okay, we're doing well, we've had good on-time delivery, we move on to something else that we can look at and improve on, correct?
100%. A lot of companies, they'll ask about it. They had a customer requirement and, they don't know what it is or what it really truly takes. And sometimes they've already done some of the legwork and they think they're ready. But, really, this isn't just a checklist, right? It's a culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's what ISO is. It's an evolution of the culture of a organization.
Yeah, we've talked about that in other podcasts where really a lot of people do it because they want what you guys provide, which is that piece of paper that says, yes, we're certified, but they're only going to find the true benefit of it when they really change their culture and live into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to thank everyone again who's listened to our podcast today and throughout this year, and we hope it's been helpful for you. If you're looking for more information about core business solutions and how we can help you with ISO certification, cybersecurity, internal audits, software, or training, please email us at info@thecoresolution.com. You can also visit our website at www.thecoresolution.com. And if you haven't already followed us on your favorite podcast platform, be sure to do so. That way you won't miss the next Quality Hub podcast when it's released next week. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.